Welcome to First Solutions online certificate course for image consultants. Today's module will demonstrate the procedure to follow when doing a professional figure analysis. Start your figure analysis consultation by making your client feel comfortable and explaining the procedure that you will be following. Ensure that she understands the benefits of figure analysis. In figure analysis, we compare the client's measurements with her own body proportions to determine which figure faults need to be disguised. You will be teaching her how to accentuate her best features through the art of illusion dressing. Your client should be wearing comfortable, tight-fitting clothing with no shoes on when you measure her. Respect her private space and avoid unnecessary embarrassment while measuring her. Where possible, allow her to stand with her back to you and do not touch her body unnecessarily. Using a ruler, make horizontal marks indicating her height as well as her shoulder height. Continue with the process by making vertical markings on the side of each shoulder. You can now proceed to measure the width of your client's waist. Again, make vertical markings indicating where the waist is on either side. Mark the hip width in the same way by making vertical lines at the broadest part of each hip. Let your client turn to her right so that she stands with her right shoulder against the board. Now place the long ruler horizontally below her buttocks and make a horizontal mark. This mark will indicate her crotch. After making your client comfortable, you now need to use a tape measure to conclude your measurements. Start by measuring the height of the client. Proceed to measure the upper torso or body by measuring from the shoulder height to the crotch. Following this, make a second measurement from the shoulder height to the waist height. Ensure that you mark all of these accurately so that they can be transferred to your measurement form at a later stage. Now proceed to measure the widths that you have marked with vertical lines. Measure the shoulder width, the waist width, and the hip width. Your final measurement is from the crotch mark to the floor to measure the height of the crotch. Continue your measurements on the client by measuring the length of the face and the length of the neck. Use a long ruler to measure her face from the hairline to the tip of the chin. Position a second ruler at the base of her neck and then measure the length of her neck. Gently run your hand over your client's upper arm to determine whether it is heavy or balanced. Now lift her hand so that her arm is in a 90-degree position. Determine whether the bend of her arm is in line with the middle of her waist. Ask your client what her cup size is and then proceed to take the measurement from under her bust to her waist. Turning your client to the side, visually determine whether your client has a protruding, flat or balanced tummy. Now standing behind her, compare the width of her shoulders to the width of her hips. Once again, with her facing you, you can gently run your hand along her saddlebags and her thighs to determine whether they are balanced or heavy. Following your measurements and your analysis, do your calculations and move your client back to the consultation area. Once you have completed your figure analysis, explain the measurements to your client and move on to illusion dressing. Illusion dressing is the art of bringing a figure into proportion visually. And to be able to do this, one needs to understand that a body and clothing consists of vertical and horizontal lines. Start explaining this to your client and slowly take her through the do wear and don't wear lists in your manual to show her how understanding her figure can benefit her. You will teach her to make use of clothing lines to make a specific body part appear shorter, longer, thinner, or wider. For example, in the case of a short neck, which is a horizontal body line, a long V-neck line, which is a vertical clothing line, will help the neck appear longer. Choosing the correct style of clothing is much easier if you know and understand what your body lines and proportions are. By analyzing the lines of a clothing item, you will be able to assess whether it is suitable for a specific body line. We would like to wish you everything of the best as you continue on the First Solutions online certificate course for image consultants.